Hey guys. So I see some people are already joining us. I'll wait a little bit longer before we start. Here, I'll put a little bit about myself. I hope everybody's having a great day today. I- I'll try not to take up too much of your time. I plan on having probably another sequel to this. So we'll get done with this shortly, and then you can look out for our next version of this branding webinar. So, okay, welcome everyone. Here's what we're going to talk about today. First, I'll talk about my background a little bit, about my company that I have separate and apart from DoorLoop. Then we'll talk about defining the brand, how branding defines a company. We'll talk about real estate, how we tie this all back together, and personal branding, and then any final thoughts I have. Please, if you have any questions, feel free to put them into the chat. We'll get to them probably later on because we're going to be doing this. But if you have also any ideas for other webinars related to this that you're interested in, please let us know. We'd be glad to get those going. Okay, so let's talk about my background. I'm AJ. I'm the director of custom websites here at DoorLoop. My family used to own a company named National Trading, which then became Elizabeth Arden after a while. While this was happening, I was a child, but I became very interested in how branding worked and the idea of branding. We bought a lot of my family bought a lot of other brands for distribution, such as Salvador Dali, then Elizabeth Arden, and Paco Rabanne we distributed. And it was a very fascinating idea how these colognes, perfumes, makeups, how the market is saturated in reality, but they were able to differentiate themselves in these slight ways with their branding. Then I worked at Apple for a little while. I learned a little bit more about branding and living the brand. And then I went back to my middle school, high school, elementary school to work there. I felt my talents could help them out, and so I went back to there to help working there. And then COVID-19 hit. Um, and I decided to go and get advanced degrees. I got my EBMS, Entertainment Business Master's of Science. I got a Certified Digital Marketing Professional certification. And then finally, I got an MBA from Florida International University. And then with those, I decided to start my own company while working here at DoorLoop, and I do branding and web strategy for my customers. Okay, so let's define branding. So a brand is a promise you make with your customer. Think about it kind of like how when your parents made promises when you were a kid, if they didn't follow through on them, you eventually wouldn't believe your parents. That's the same thing with the brand. If you don't live your brand, if you don't live your promise, your customer will know, and they will go to your competitor. It will happen. Seth Godin has a great quote. A brand is the set of expectations, memories, stories, and relationships that, taken together, account for a consumer's decision to choose one product or service over another. Notice how none of these are your logo, the colors you're using on your website, your fonts. These are emotions that we're tapping into. So how is branding going to define a company? Let's play a little word association. We have specific visions of companies when we hear words. And this, again, has nothing to do with the colors or images that they use. So let's play a little game. When I say the word safe, what does that bring to your mind? If you're like most people, you probably thought of Volvo. Now, if I say magical, I know what I think of. I assume some other people think of the same thing, but you probably thought of Disney. They bring us our magic. So let's talk about Disney a little bit. How does Disney embody their brand with everything they do? So I have a great story from actually a recent trip to Disney. I took my wife and my 2.5-year-old daughter, and along with all the myriad of reasons why my daughter absolutely loved Disney, whether it was the princesses, the characters. She was not a fan of Darth Vader, but we'll get her there. Uh, but all of the experiences which are part of the brand, and these characters are embodying the brand day in and day out. Um, it it went a step further. We're walking out of one of the experiences, and my wife and I were talking, and I look to the right, and I see in the on the side, on the concrete, a Mickey made out of just leaves. One of the cleaning people must have been sweeping up, and he or she decided to make a hidden Mickey out of these leaves. That's not something that is taught. That's not something that they were told you have to do, probably. This was something that this person was just living the brand. They were at work, they enjoy what they were doing, and they made a little Mickey out of it. This is what embodying your brand is. Like I said, I used to work at Apple. And when you're in training at Apple, they give you a lot of training materials. But one thing that they give you that kind of sticks with you is a Credo card. This Credo card defines the company's values, and it's almost a way of thinking about how you would distill those values into everything we do. So they really they push the idea of when you're there, you're representing the brand. You should have fun. One of my managers at Apple, he used to say all the time, represent the brand, have fun doing it, make lives better, which really is the brand, make lives better. But this Credo card, I think you can kind of see it. It might not focus properly. There we go. So this is the Credo card. And then, as you can see down here, it says enriching lives right from the beginning. And then the first thing it says is it focuses on, let me see if we can get it to focus. Okay, here we go. So it focuses on our people. At Apple, the most important resource, our soul, is our people. Now, when you think of Apple, you probably think of computers, phones, AirPods, all these different gadgets. This Credo card I got when I went back to Apple. I had left. I was there from 2007 to 2011. I want to say 2010, and then I came back in 2012. And so this was well after the iPhone had come out. This was a very an updated version. I have another one at home from my first stint at Apple. So this was a slightly updated one, but what hadn't changed was that our people section. Because at the end of the day, your employees, they're going to be the ones that are distilling the brand for your customer. If your employees don't believe in the brand, if they don't know the brand, if they don't understand the why you're doing what you're doing. So for Apple, it's let's see if we can get it. There we go. It's enriching lives, enriching our customers' lives, enriching our employees' lives. but it's enriching lives. This is the epitome of living brands. Apple expects every person from the CEO down to the people in the store to live their brand, to believe in the brand, to understand the brand, the why of the brand, like I said, why are you doing what you're doing, and to really embody the brand, because that first line of defense, your people who are at the Genius Bar, who are welcoming people into your store, whatever it may be, they're going to be setting the expectations for your customer. And you want to under promise, over deliver. Another thing that Apple teaches. You you don't want to overpromise to your customer. You really want to set that right expectation. Going back to to kind of thinking about our parents, if our parents overpromise us, we might say, "Oh, yay, we're getting a pony," but when we didn't get the pony and instead we got a bike, all of a sudden that bike doesn't seem nearly as cool. If your parents told you, "I'm going to get you a scooter," and then they got you a bike and you really wanted a bike, well, all of a sudden they underpromised and they over-delivered for you. You think they're the best person in the world. Um, and that's kind of where that branding, that um, living the brand is really going to come into play. So, how do we tie this into real estate? I've talked about a car company. I've talked about a entertainment brand. I've talked about a technology company. So, how do we get to real estate and personal branding? So, I'm here in Miami. Real estate agents are a dime a dozen here. I have an active license. My mom, my stepfather, my uncle, and who knows who else in my extended family that all have real estate licenses. With that, the job of branding is even more important, as you need to differentiate yourself in the crowded field. So, how do we stand out? This is going to involve making a name for yourself with a specific niche. You're going to want to kind of find your niche. You're going to build your value set, and you're going to find how customers can emotionally connect with you. I have a friend, Nicole Miller, who works in real estate down here. She works primarily with 55 plus communities. She saw a glaring good opportunity and filled that hole to great success, focusing on providing outstanding service, which builds trust and then gets her results. And as you can see, that's what she tells you right in her brand. Her logo is an extension of the brand that she created. So she didn't just pick a logo and say, "Okay, this is what I'm going to be." No, she built her brand and then she turned around and made that brand into her logo. So you're going to want to define that niche. You're going to want to find what you're going to focus on. You're going to build your value set, like I said, and then finally, you're going to bring that all together in your marketing strategy. Your story should be front and center in everything that you do. In personal branding, this can be even more important with the way our lives are increasingly online. You want to curate the vision that is out there of yourself. This is going to be super important. Think about the stuff that you're posting. Think about the stuff that you're sharing. You everything that you put out there should be distilled through your brand. Does this fit my brand? Does this fit the brand I'm trying to build? Does this fit who I want to be in the world? Remember, once you put it out there, it's very hard to take it back. I watch People's Court, and Judge Millian likes to say it, forget it, write it, regret it. Think it that way. That's a very important way to think. Some of us started out in social media very early before we really knew the ramifications of social media. I know if I go into my social media, I've got conversations with friends. I didn't think of social media as a professional tool back then, so you kind of want to get that into your head early on. I'm gonna leave you with a couple final thoughts. This actually, my mom has said this to me for years. I'm pretty sure my mom is watching this, so hi, mom. Um, so this one's for her. She said this to me and my sister as we were growing up. But perception is reality. How the world perceives you is essentially your brand and becomes your reality. Above all else, logos, colors. What's most important is living your brand. Um, I if I can leave you with anything, it's knowing that that piece, the perception is reality. What people see from the outside is really going to be what they believe and what they want to do business with. Um, and so if you want to stand out, you really have to change the perception or craft the perception of yourself if that's what you want to be. I want to thank you for coming. Please, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. My email's down here on the bottom, ajoberlender@doorloop.com. I'm more than happy to kind of have conversations with you guys. If you've got any ideas of webinars that you would like to see related to marketing branding, feel free also reach out. I'll be taking any suggestions and trying either from me or from somebody else. And I really thank you for coming. And look out for part two. I'm gonna try and do more deep dive into this stuff. This was more of a kind of scratching the surface, but we'll do a couple more deep dives hopefully. And I look forward to doing this with you guys. Have a great rest of your day.